Back again with another one. Bad News Brown. Now I'm sorry to report the death of Assata Shakur. She just recently passed, y'all. And for those that don't know, Assata Shakur was, for the most part, a Black Panther member. So let's read the report. Assata Shakur, Black Liberation Army member who was convicted in the 1973 murder of a New Jersey state trooper, has died in Cuba, where she had fled to after escaping from prison, Cuban officials said Friday. She was 78. Her conviction for the murder of Trooper Warner Forrester and subsequent escape garnered her a permanent spot on the New Jersey State Police's most wanted list. The state long sought to extradite Shakur, who also known as Joanne Chesimard, from Cuba without success. The Cuban Ministry of Foreign Affairs says she died in Havana of health complications and advanced age. The civil rights activist and convicted murderer had continued to be a top priority for law enforcement officials in the United States over more than 4 decades after she broke out of a Clifton, New Jersey prison. In May 1973, Shakur and 2 other members of the Black Liberation Army, an underground militant group, were pulled over on the New Jersey Turnpike by Trooper Forrester and another highway officer. During a confrontation, a shootout ensued, killing Forrester and one of his passengers in the car. Forrester was 34 at the time of his death and left behind a wife and a young son. Shakur was wounded in the shootout and arrested. She was later convicted of first-degree murder. In 1979, 2 years into her life sentence, she was broken free from prison with the help of other members of BLA and later fled to Cuba, where Fidel Castro granted her asylum. So let's break it down. All power to the people. You know, this is quite upsetting, actually, and it really goes to show that there were people who fought and sacrificed for our freedom, and the struggle still continues. You know, our country don't like to admit it, but we still have political prisoners. We still have people in exile. You know, I mentioned this before, the Black Panther Party was the real deal. Now, back then, of course, at this point, the party was highly infiltrated. COINTELPRO was in full effect. There were plenty of instances, even in the East Coast. More notable one, the whole George Sams incident at the Connecticut chapter. But you had a lot of agents posing as party members, and the party was trimming a lot of the fat. Due to that, there was a lot of frames, and Assata Shakur unfortunately was caught up in one of those frames, and fortunately she was able to escape. The rest is history. To this day, no one knows how or whom or what, and it's probably as it should stay that way. And she was freed and she went to Cuba. Now at that time, and even to this day, Cuba, and this is why a lot of civil rights notables swung to the left at that time. Now, I know that's a more complicated situation that I won't get into because we adopt dialectical materialism, which is a whole nother subject. But at that time, we were left-leaning because a lot of the attributes and the qualities that we need to unite as a people were on that side. Cuba being one of the countries that was aligned with us, granted not only Assata, but a few other Panthers asylum out there. So, and I want to say that just to say this is why we got to be careful with the whole isolating ourselves. I know we black and we proud, we FBA, and we go stand tall and we go draw a line, but at the same time we we're not just gonna get caught up in the fake news in terms of pointing the finger at a country. We align with anybody that's suffering, foreign or domestic. But let me continue. Now, according to that report, it said Assata Shakur was a civil rights activist and a BLA member. Now, a lot of people don't know the BLA, the Black Liberation Army, was, we'll just say that was one of the wrecking crews for the Black Panther Party, or the underground wrecking crews for the Black Panther Party. And we'll leave it as that. But definitely they were part of the struggle, still is to this day, and it wasn't no joke. But at that time, like I said, COINTELPRO was in full effect, and at that time their main tactic was to pretty much frame all party members and their affiliates, get them up on trumped up charges, conspiracy charges, definitely them conspiracy charges, which gave birth to what we see now in these RICO cases, pretty much. It wasn't just the mob, although at that time the feds wasn't focused on the mob as we know now. They was totally focused on all the civil rights groups and members. And it was a lot of that going on. To this day, we still finding out stuff, and fortunately, Assata was able to get out of that and didn't spend the rest of her life in prison, although she should have got granted immunity or a pardon for her to come back to the U.S. That would have been the righteous thing to do with this country. We talk the talk, but hardly ever are politicians and lawmakers walk it, as we see, especially concerning us. And this was another example, but definitely rest in peace to that sister, Assata Shakur, and the struggle continues. And I need to really speak more to this because I see now a lot of people got the Black Panther Party twisted in a whole lot of ways in terms of what they stood for, what they aligned with, and a bunch of other stuff. So I think I do need to speak more, less a lot of stuff get remixed and basically COINTELPRO'd again. And we ain't about to have that. So if you're definitely speaking on this, you better have your facts straight. Period. Among other things. But definitely rest in peace, Sister Assata Shakur. Definitely. One of our all-stars, one of the many all-stars, and one of the female all-stars in the party. Male and female members, all-stars, people who put their money where their mouth was and really showed you what it is and what it means to truly fight. A lot of things you can learn from the examples. A lot of things. So, but that's enough for now, man. This Bad News Brown breaking it down